All right. Hello, my fine friends, and welcome to Give Me Some Good News, the podcast about positivity in the travel and tourism space. I am your host here, Caleb Sullivan, with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Tyler Ford. Tyler, how are we doing today?
Caleb, I am doing great and I am ready for some good news. Christmas is coming.
Yes, it
You've got a
is.
tree behind you.
I sure do.
Uh, I'm caroling tonight. For
Yes,
the
you
first
are.
time ever, I'm doing a guitar. I'm playing guitar for a bunch of carolers, and it's going to be really fun. It's with my church. And like having that guitar in my mind, it made me think about your theme song and how there might one more note at the final end. You go like da 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 da, then ding.
Oh, I did
We'll,
that
we'll work
once.
on that.
Okay, for
Yeah.
for everyone listening who cares about my ukulele skills, I did that once, and when I recorded that on my iPhone, and it like glitched out, so there was like do 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 ding, and it went ding ding ding, and but whenever I recorded, it went ding, and like I could not recreate it.
Okay.
So
We
I
will,
agree.
we'll, all right.
I agree. I think we need to
I
change
love
the
that.
theme song, or let's say upgrade the theme song.
Add
But
the add to the theme song an extra ding. And honestly, given that we only have a couple listeners, all seven of you, I think it might be eight now,
maybe
because
eight. I don't know.
some people from my work are starting to,
Love that.
ask the questions about, hey, what are we up to here? They probably will care about your ukulele skills and progress.
I
So
agree. They probably will. But you know who does not care about my ukulele skills and
who's that?
progress? Our wonderful guest today, Mr. Isiah Lewis. Now that's an intro right
Isaiah, come
there.
on.
Isaiah, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And I do care about your ukulele skills. You're a good friend of
There it
mine,
is.
so I'd like to hear what you got going on. I think we got a couple members of the DI band that we can get in to help make
Oh my
a
goodness.
big theme song next year if we want to.
I think so, and I think we need to incorporate ukulele at the house band next year. So I could not
Mhm.
agree more. Isaiah, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell all seven, maybe eight of our listeners who you are, what you do, and a little bit about DSG?
Yeah, hello, all seven listeners. My name is Isiah Lewis. I am the Director of Client Relations at Downs and St. Germain Research. I've been here for 7 years. This is going to be my eighth coming up. I worked in a variety of roles. I've always been in the tourism industry. Don't think I'm ever going to leave it. I think I'm a lifer, and I'll get into that a little bit more later if we talk about it. But I love the industry and a little bit about DSG. Downs and St. Germain Research, we're a tourism marketing research firm located in Tallahassee, but we got remote offices. We work specifically in the qual and quantitative space of research, looking at visitor profiles, kind of where your visitors coming from, types of things they're doing, as well as some focus groups, and then any real customizable studies when it comes to the tourism space. We are kind of a shop for all the different types of research that we get into there.
That's wonderful. And we kind of also like to start this off by learning a little bit more about your career trajectory. And we can kind of hit on this, but you talk about wanting to be a lifer, and I'm on that train as well. How did you get into this industry and what interests you about tourism?
Yeah, I actually fell backwards into this industry. In college, I went to Florida State, go Noles. Um, Fell backwards into it at Florida State. I was a marketing major. Well, officially was undecided at first, then went into marketing and was in the industry and was really struggling. I didn't really know what I wanted to market. I was sitting there thinking, what do I want to market? What am I passionate about that I want to actually sell as a product? I was sitting there and taking classes and was like, do I want to sell soap? Like, no, I didn't really want, I didn't want to do anything like that. It wasn't something that was driving me and pushing me. And I went to a club meeting once. It was my first and only club meeting for the American Marketing Association. Shout out to them.
Hey,
Um, and at the first meeting, the Joseph, my current boss at Downs and St. Germain Research, was the guest speaker. And if you know anything about him, he's a big sports nerd, and he started tying statistics in sports into research and kind of started talking about what he does in the industry. One thing led to another. I talked to him a little bit more about an internship possibility. I interned there with him, and then from that research side, ended up interning at Visit Tallahassee through a relationship that we had with them as a client at the time. So interned at Visit Tallahassee, and then from there, at the rate as I was graduating, we had four people in the office at the time. We've grown to 11 now, so we've had some sizable gains over the years from a small firm. But when we were at four, he didn't really have a spot for me at the time. And it was
Yeah.
my last day of the internship, and he said to me, "Hey, man, you've been great. I don't really have a spot for you on my last day, but I'll reach out to you if we do have something open up." Well, it turns up the next day, somebody put in their 2 weeks, so he reached out to me
Nice.
on that Friday, and I interviewed on Monday, graduated on Thursday, and started with DSG the next week. So I've been fresh out of college from a pup at DSG, and that's how I kind of got to where I am or into the industry, just basically like that. My career expands beyond that, but that's kind of where my origins and start came from.
Yeah, and that's awesome kind of way to see, from intern. My track was similar, but like from intern to in the industry and now servicing the industry. Before I kick it over to Tyler, one of the cool things about your career is this growth you've had with DSG. So kind of talk about how your roles evolved, some new things you've taken over, some new, just different elements of your work that you're excited about. And then I'll kick it over to Tyler for his questions.
Yeah, yeah, no. I went from a project director to a senior project director, and now I'm the director of client relations over that 7 year time span. My roles changed vastly. I think before, if we're talking about what my role really was, at the beginning of my career, if we're talking like, hey, entry level data collection, my fingers were in the dirt. I was deep into data sets, figuring out problem solving, kind of like just really compiling data and figuring out, hey, what is this? And to be frank, I didn't really have a research background heavy in college. Took a couple of classes, so it was very much learning and developing my research skills hard those first few years, and figuring out, hey, what like how does this work? What are the components that go into this? What are the deep statistical things that I'm learning here about research in the process? And then just being at a small company, it's something that I love. Is that when the opportunity strikes, you have the ability to take it at a small company. And that's kind of what happened at DSG. The opportunity opened up for me to move up to a senior project director level. The opportunity opened up for me to present a little bit more in Tallahassee, and then also start going to conferences. And I think once I started getting on the road and getting out there, Joseph saw the skills that I had as a presenter and had the skills I had on the road talking to people and said, hey, let's get you out there and start to look into it. That developed more, and then that led to my role now, which is a newly created role as the director of client relations. So in my current role, I'm very much just the front-facing portion of Downs and St. Germain Research. I handle our marketing, I handle our social media, I handle all of our conferences. I'm putting together what conferences we're going to, what conferences we are going to sponsor, and the events that we're going to do at those, as well as the boring parts. I'm still a little bit in the dirt with proposals and dealing with those on a daily basis. But I'm kind of just all of our front of house related activities at DSG.
Isaiah, I think that's awesome. I want to go back to something you said at the beginning of your story. And I think this is going to be really important for high school and college students just who might be listening or might just get a piece of this interview even. You said that at first you said that you kind of fell back into it. And but you didn't. You actually took some serious proactive steps here.
Hmm.
I don't know many people who, after seeing a speaker that they find interesting, they go and speak with that speaker to figure out how to create an internship for themselves. So first, I want to like give you your props on that. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. And a lesson to be learned for, at first I said like college students, but really everyone in the professional setting is, okay, you went ahead and made something happen for yourself. You could have easily, taken your notes and said, oh man, Joe Smith was awesome. He's doing cool things. I'm going to take a note of that and maybe come back to that later. And then nothing probably would have happened. But instead you did just go and talk to him, and you created this. I don't know if you created the internship, but at least you opened up the opportunity for the internship for yourself. And I think that's like an awesome lesson to be learned for everyone. And I have like a sneaking suspicion, as you say, certain things have opened up throughout your career into the roles you've gone into. I've got the suspicion that you probably took these same type of approach, same steps, and like created these new roles. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is there any other, I don't know, interesting detail to that story as you've progressed upwards in DSG?
Yeah, I mean, you're picking on my humbleness here.
Yeah.
I don't like to brag, but I guess
Okay.
this is the place to do it. But I mean,
Yep.
within that, you are correct. With the opportunity with speaking to Joseph, I was looking for a mentor at the time. I was a junior in college, hadn't had an internship yet, and said to myself, "What are you doing? You need to get an internship. You need to push yourself further. If you want to have a successful career, you're going to have to start taking the steps to make that happen." And with that, he presented, and I said, "Well, I like this guy. I think he's cool. He would be a cool mentor for me to have." That mentor relationship turned it quickly into, well, I have an internship to go along with this mentorship, so I can mentor you at the office and you can take an internship. And I said, yeah, I'll do that. And then that led to me finding out about Visit Tallahassee through the work we did because I didn't really know what we did at the time when I signed up for an internship. And once I found out about Visit Tallahassee, I went to Joseph and said, "Hey, I can you put me in contact? I'd like to take an internship there as well." And then I had two internships. So I was managing two internships my senior year at the same time with both of them and kind of just taking the opportunities where they came available. I think something that's like a core tenet of my life is patience, but when the opportunity strikes, take it,
Mm,
and go for it. And I think that's kind of where things have led to me. It's not necessarily falling into it, but hey, if I'm patient, the opportunity for something that opens up that I would like becomes available. I was patient in DSG early in my career, where I think a lot of the younger generation tends to be at a job for a year or two and then jump around to get a higher pay scale or whatever it may be. I looked at it and said, I have the opportunity to learn and develop here and gain skills in an industry that I find very interesting. And then through patience and staying at the job and learning more and developing the opportunity for me to become a senior project director based off of my experience and an opening at our team, I said, all right, Joseph, I think I'm the man for the job. I have this experience here and I would like to step into a leadership role. I think that's been a core tenet again of things that we do at DSG is that, hey, we growth is available for you. You have to be able to step up and take it. I can give you all the tools in front of you, and that's what he said to me. I can give you all the tools and availability to grow, but you have to want to grow yourself in order to grow. And you have to take the steps to be able to do that. And that type of leadership for me has pushed me very hard into being who I am because I don't I don't like settling, and I don't think like I want to be in a position in my career where it's like, hey, I'm doing the same thing every day for 30 years. Um, and being able to push myself further by learning more and growing into a now leadership role where I'm managing over other people on the staff and really developing my ability and my career to lead more and present more and be in these spaces where I can grow and know more about the tourism industry has been something that I don't take lightly and continue to try to push myself on.
yeah, that's awesome. And I also want to touch on this. One of my favorite sayings is you have to happen to your career. You can't let your career happen to you. I think a lot of stagnation that young professionals see is this understanding of, someone's going to come to my desk one day and say, "Good job, attaboy, and here's a promotion, here's a six-figure salary, here's this, here's that." Well, in reality, you have to take charge of your career and really be at the forefront of it. Like no one's going to service it for you. You're in a fortunate position to where you have a leader like Joey who is a leader, not a manager, right? Like
Mhm.
that is one trait that someone can take away from him spending any amount of time with him. So, that it seems like you're in the right place with the right mindset. So, yeah, that's how I got my first role. I think I've shared that on a couple podcasts, but asking for it, going up, having those conversations. So that's huge.
Yep.
And one of the things that I kind of want to shift to is the current, landscape. What's interesting about your career, Isaiah, is you're at a boutique firm where you really are from the outside looking in, the clients that you work with, you provide such a high level of value. Like you really do. Like they all sing your praises. They're all excited to work with you, and you deliver what they need when they need it. So, what does the kind of the landscape look like right now for data as it relates to tourism? Are there any trends you're seeing? Is there anything that DMO should kind of look out for coming up in 2026?
Yeah, it's there's definitely like on a grand scale, if we're doing like 30,000 foot level, I think that's something that I'll just touch on is that like within my career, I think learning and kind of listening to the leaves in the wind and kind of what's being said in the research industry and what's being talked about is vital to growing in your career and growing and knowing. And I think that's like something that I've tried to keep my finger on the pulse of is, hey, what's going on in marketing research and what's going on in tourism as a whole. I think as we look into the future, or we look at like, hey, what's 2026 going to look like? There's definitely I mean, we can all see it. There's a bit of a tightening of the pockets and worry a little bit about economical, like the state of the economy generally. So I think what we're seeing from visitors and what you can probably expect in 2026 is a lot more value tourism. People aren't just going to go on the vacation that they used to go on if it costs exorbitantly more than, say, the secondary city level of trips. I think people are going to look into multi-generational travel more. Hey, traveling with your grandparents, traveling with your parents, traveling with family. I mean, through all the survey data we've done, you always see visiting friends and relatives as a top main reason for people visiting. And that's kind of something that's going to continue to bubble more as people are traveling to see their family and friends, but also looking for value where they can. They're not going to stop traveling even as the pockets tighten. They're going to just be more considerate about where they're traveling, and how far their travel dollar can stretch necessarily. I think that's definitely going to be a trend we're seeing in 2026.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that I always erred on the side of it's human. There is a human element to travel that we forget about, right? There is like we have to travel. There is this need to have that vacation to look forward to work hard for, and to enjoy with your family. I can attest, I love taking trips with my in-laws. So we do like a generational trip, and that's something we look forward to. Also, going to value that is something that, it helps to spread that cost around a little bit, right? Like with multiple family
Hmm.
members
True.
staying in a vacation rental first as opposed to a hotel. Everyone has their different preferences, but that's kind of something I've seen with my family that we enjoy doing. And I think that's important because kind of going into my next question, is kind of this human side of research, right? This theme. You guys, from what I've seen, you do a little bit of everything, qualitative, quantitative research. Like, how do you balance that with your partners to kind of tell the stories behind the numbers?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a dance. It's a fun dance. I think it's something that like if I think back onto my career, something that like has moved me forward is that ability to be able to talk to different channels and different people. I think that's kind of a huge growing part of the destination marketing space. As we know, destination marketing is becoming more destination management, which means you have to be able to talk to your stakeholders. You have to be able to talk to your residents. You have to be able to talk to your community leaders and your commissioners who are all involved. And you have to be able to talk to them all differently. I think that's a huge part of it is I can't go ahead and teach my research or give out my data numbers and say X number of visitors or whatever the same way to all four of those people. They all hear it completely differently interpret it differently. So you need to be able to meet people where they're at. And I think that's just kind of a big part of our research and just generally research that I think is something we need to work on moving forward in the destination space as a whole is figuring out how to talk that language to the specific audience you need to. I think it's crucial. If you're talking to a county commissioner is going to want to hear ROI and how does it help their constituents. A resident is going to want to know something as simple as like, how does it relate to them? How do you talk to a teacher
Hmm.
about tourism? How do you talk to the common Joe on the street about tourism? You relate it to something that relates to them, which is like, hey, this counts for X amount of cup of coffees you buy, or this is how much you're saving in taxable savings based off of what tourism brings in. It's a conversation that's brought up and taught to them in different ways, and you have to talk to them differently for each group involved in order to them to really kind of let that message soak into their head.
Mm.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And I honestly feel like being able to present the data in a useful and helpful and impactful way is really like 95 or 90% of the data. Like
Mm.
the numbers on a screen are literally completely useless if somebody can't explain to the decision maker the point. And
Yep.
so, do you have any more tips for people who are like, they get that? They're like, oh, yeah, I get that, but I don't know how. Like, how are you so good at explaining these things and like differentiating between the types of groups and just how you can get your point across to them differently?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. I think when you're early in your career, be a sponge.
Okay.
As much information as you can take in, the better. And then also it's just like getting your feet wet in it. I think once like I started presenting and looking at the data, it's like a beautiful mind. I'm looking at it and it's like it's almost like I have that cork board up where you see at a crime scene and you're like connecting the lines of like, hey,
Hmm.
this goes here and this goes here. Like that's where my brain goes when I'm looking at data is like, how does this change in travel party align with the style of travel party? Is there more family visitors? Okay, where does that connect to their main reasons for visiting? And how does that connect to whatever else, like their mode of transportation we're getting here, and how much does that connect to their spend? And like looking for those little connects in the data and interpreting how those things are connected is really like the start of it. That's where you start in your understanding of the data process is looking for that connectivity in the data. And then from there, it's taking those connections, seeing them, and then building the story and telling the story about it. It's storytelling at the end of the day. That's as simple as it is all research data is a different form of storytelling with numbers involved. How do you tell that story? You make the connections there. Okay, now I know the connections. What does this mean? How do I interpret this and tell this to someone? I think that's kind of just the process of steps that you go to there of developing the story that is the tourism or the specific quarter in whatever destination you're working with.
Tyler loves storytelling, so
I
I
love
saw him light
storytelling.
up as soon as
I
you said
did.
that.
Well, I lit up a couple times during that whole um, soliloquy of yours. I love the storytelling. I love the fact that you look at it the same way I do. Like a kind of, I view it as a supply chain, but that's the same idea of how you were viewing it too. And so, like, I couldn't agree more with all of that. Do you have like a favorite story that you've told, like a destination who's you've done a great study for, and like this is just one you're really proud of?
Oh man, that's a question I'll have to think on. I might have to
Okay,
get back to you on that one. I'll
that's
start
fine.
racking my brain on that of just some good specific stories I told. I know there's just there's a lot of years, a lot of stories been told, so I'm trying to figure out the best one that I can pull for you.
Hey, that's fair enough. Hey, I'll hit you up after this, and we'll make sure
Yeah.
we get that.
I love that. And kind of landed the plane here. I got a couple more things for you. One of which kind of starts here. So no context. One of my first memories with Isaiah was he and I riding a dinosaur. So I'm just going to leave that there. I will no further elaborate from that. But I would like to say one of the things I've learned about you over the years, Isaiah, is you are a true friend to people. Like you thrive in that space of really getting to know people, really understanding them, meeting them where they're at. And that reflects in the work that you do, the relationships you make, the clients that you get. But one of the things I'd kind of like to dig into is like in that process, like what have you learned about building trust with your partners and with your clients over the years, and using that friendship to really help drive their business?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a relationship business, and as we both talked about earlier, we're lifers. I want to be here for life, and as you can see in this industry, both of us have been around enough. There's a lot of circular relationships here of, hey, someone may have been working at a destination and now is on the vendor side, and then came back around to the destination side at a different destination. There's a lot of people who stick within the industry and go into different places in the industry. And I think it's just like part of it for me is really understanding that and knowing that like I'm just developing relationships with people to be friends with them and then not I'm not a hard seller. I don't want to hard sell you on research. I want you to get the best research for you. If I think there's a better product out there for what you're looking for and what your questions are, I will point you in the direction of research that I think better benefits what you're looking for. I think that's something that's a core understanding that we need to get to is like, hey, all research isn't the same. What we do at Downs and St. Germain Research isn't the same as what X company does over here with geolocation or whatever it may be. There's just differences in the research space and what each research is. And kind of as a whole, I think research tends to get pushed into this one big bucket of it's all research, which means people associate it as they're all being the same. And that's just not the case. So I think it's just kind of understanding that and meeting people and connecting with them and then knowing like asking them those questions of like, hey, what are your needs? What are you looking to answer at your destination? What is your destination struggling with? And if we or I can help provide you with that, I will do my best to help provide you with that. And if I can't, I'll point you in the direction of somebody who can. And I just think that's like to me, that's best business practice. I wouldn't, I don't want to sell you on a ship and then give you a boat that is 3 feet long. I don't want to give you a dinghy. So I'm just trying to make sure that within my connections and my relationships that I'm developing, that it's authentic and real because that's who I want to be, and that's who I would like to promote a company as being real and authentic within what we do. And that's just kind of my approach to it generally.
Such a great approach. Tyler and I, we harp on that A word, authenticity, often. It's something that, you are your character, and your name is associated with that character, and your character is associated with the company that you represent. So, um, I call it the friendship economy of tourism. And so putting your partners, putting your clients first, at the end of the day is always a best bet. And it's something that I think we as service providers to the industry need to take stock on and really keep that in mind as we're having these business development conversations with these clients. So, one of the things we always like to ask our guests here is, Isaiah, give me some good news. What's some good news in Isaiah's world? It can be personal, it can be professional, dude. Like whatever it is, give me some good news.
Yeah, I mean it's the holiday season, so as we always do in the holiday season, we kind of look back and reflect on the year that we had. It's the end of the year. What did we do this year? And it was a pretty good year for me. Good, pretty dang good year. I got engaged this year to
Yes, you
my lovely
did.
fiance.
Woo woo.
C-
Woo,
Congrats to me on that one.
congrats.
I welcomed a new niece into the world last week. So that's also great news. Really excited and happy about that. And then just generally, business is doing good. I mean, in my own personal life, I have a side business, Nature's Dream, making jewelry that I like to get into. So that's been fun, making art and creativity, and it's lended me a lot in my career, I think, at the same time. So it's been a good year of growth, and happiness generally for me. I know there's been a lot of other stuff going on in the world, but we've got good news to share here today.
Absolutely, we do. And Tyler, I know, is just chomping at the bit to ask you about that jewelry. So Tyler,
Yeah, no, I'm curious. So what was the name of your company again?
Yeah, Nature's Dream.
love it.
Nature's Dream. Awesome,
Yeah,
Isaiah. Well, hey, I'm gonna hit you up after this on that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, totally.
awesome. Moving and shaking.
Yes,
Yep, things are moving and shaking for sure.
Moving and shaking.
Been a fun 2025. I'm excited for 2026 and seeing what that has in store for us.
Yep.
absolutely. It's going to be a great year. And, if people want to reach out to you in this great new year and learn more about DSG and the amazing work that we've talked about today, where can people find you?
Ooh. Find me a whole lot of places. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Isaiah Lewis. You can see me there. My email, Isaiah at DSG. D is in dog, S is in Sam, G is in goat, because that's what I am.
Hey,
Hyphen,
Oh,
my
hyphen,
guy.
pause.
hyphen research.com. But yeah, you can feel free to reach out to me if you have any research questions. I love to just generally chat about the industry as a whole. So, and then if any young people are out there wanting to learn more and get a mentor, feel free to reach out as well. I'm always happy to talk about the industry and share.
Love that. Love that. And Tyler, it's one of these questions. I just don't know if people know the answer to it, but where can people find you, Tyler? I know the list is long, so I want to get you
Oh,
started now.
let me check my notes here. LinkedIn, Caleb, where can people find you?
My name is Caleb Sullivan. I work with Paradise Advertising and Marketing. And you can find me at csullivan at paradiseadv.com, or you can also find me on LinkedIn. And this has been some good news.